Well, I first moved to Austria. I spent the last 3 years in Austria. The move to France is actually pretty recent. Professionally and on a personal level, I have a much bigger network in France, so that made sense for me to do that move. In 2013, I broke my collarbone kitesurfing, and after that, the recovery period took a really long time. At some point, I was tired of just watching my friends ride, and I was already a bit into the images and photography at that point. I picked up a camera and started shooting. When I first started shooting, I was shooting mostly wakeboarding and kitesurfing, just because that was the world I was evolving in. Now I mostly shoot like landscapes, more mountain-oriented stuff, but I did a lot of surfing, and I'm slowly getting back into the surfing world as well. I have a strong feeling about women in photography, but also women in sports, because we're few, and we're definitely evolving in a men-dominated world. I think slowly things are changing. There's more and more women involved in both sport and photography, but the main photographers that we know, there's not so many women in there. It's important for me to see other women photographers, because it gives me somebody to look up to, and for other women as well to look up to, because we can relate to one another a lot more easier than we can relate to a man doing the same job. I think a lot of women do feed off each other, and I also think that more and more women in those worlds we support each other as well. When you show up to a river surfing spot, especially like, I mean, the ice bath in Munich is really an impressive one. I went a couple times to that one. The one in Salzburg is a lot smaller and a lot friendlier to start with. For sure, you show up and you're pretty, like, it's a bit stressful. You don't know really what to expect. Every wave is so different. So even though I had been surfing for 3 years at the Salzburg one, when I got to the Munich one, I had a bit of the stress ball in the stomach. When I first learned kitesurfing, I actually learned because I had been scared of water all my life. Long story short, even when I was a kid, I couldn't stand having water splash on my face. That was really, really bad for me. And then at some point just got tired of it and decided to pick kite surfing of all sports to get over this. And this actually changed my life. On a more personal aspect, but I think it affects every aspect of my life. I'm someone who has a lot of anxiety in everyday life, and I a few years ago decided not to be shy talking about it, because I think a lot of people are going through that, and it can be pretty paralyzing, and it can be pretty hard to deal with. But this is like an everyday challenge for me. Sometimes it's in the small things, sometimes it's in the big things, but like the whole fear thing is definitely related to that. What I do in the sports and the outdoors really gave me tools actually to deal with my everyday life anxiety. Yeah, that's a good question. Is being fueled by it? I think everybody has some kind of anxiety a little bit to different level. It's normal to have that on some circumstances. When it becomes overwhelming, that it is a problem. It's also an energy. So if you learn to channel that energy in the right direction, then I think you can really do great things. And yes, then it is kind of a motor for everything. The Shimoda backpack I use the most is the Explore 30. So one of the reasons is because of the size of the frame that really is the perfect size for my short torso. I'm a meter 63, that's like 5'3", 5'4". So I'm not very tall. I'm using the women specific technical straps. I was really happy when Shimoda came out with those because they really fit better in the women morphology, and they're just super comfortable. Trust your gut feeling, and if you feel that's what you want to do, just do it.